Hi, and welcome to Expondo Gastro Experts. We are continuing the cycle about promotion and image, and today's subject is branding. My name is Michał Orłowski. Let's have a look. So first, let me remind you, this program is being streamed live. So the more questions you ask on our live chat, the more you tell us what you think, the better we will cover the subject. And today's subject, as I said, is branding. So what is this branding thing anyway? So since our childhood, we were taught not to judge the book by its cover. But it's totally different if it comes to the company. How we look, how we present ourselves is the only way we can actually communicate with the outside world. So what belongs to actually branding is, of course, the looks of your food truck in this case. It's your carefully constructed name. It's your well-designed logo. It's your presence in social media and in virtual reality. And of course, in paid media. So that's all about looks and how you present yourself to your potential customers, your guests. So basically, it's all what you can do about your actual visual side. Basically, your customers are being bombarded with thousands of advertisements through the day. And it's really important to make a difference, to get the customers to come to you. Of course, it's secondary to good cuisine, to good products. But definitely, if you don't look good, if you don't present yourself really well, your customers will simply walk past and you see them just dining at your competition. So it's to be avoided through some things you can do. So first of all, when designing and the appearance of your food truck, what you have to do is to seem as clean and tidy as possible. People love it. People associate the tidiness of your looks with whatever happens in your kitchen. Also, it is really good to present whatever is happening in your kitchen to your customers so they can see it. It's called open kitchen because this gives the feeling to your customers that you have nothing to hide. And it's actually quite interesting. More and more foodies appear around the world, around the globe, and they like to see and to watch what you're actually doing. So that's part of your image. Also, if you think about good branding, of course it has to be uniform. Everything needs to point in one direction. You have to speak one voice with your logo, your name and the looks and your virtual reality presence. So we've been talking about the logo and the name already. I spoke with an expert last Friday about branding and the whole naming and logo thing. I'll be talking with another expert next Friday about free and paid ways to promote the food trucks. So I encourage you to look through the archive and to watch our next episodes. But generally, what's good to do? Like what's the to-dos in this area? First of all, you can invest in some moving elements. So in that sense, a blackboard or whiteboard where you can change and update dishes, availability of the dishes, the prices if necessary. If you have the hand for it, why not? You put some artwork on the blackboard. That's that was always, and it's cheap, and you can repeat it, and you can change it from event to event. So you can put flags on, and the advantage of moving elements is you can add on as you go, so you don't need to have everything when you start. Naturally, places are growing. When you walk into a restaurant on day one, it usually looks a little bit empty. When the time goes by, so after like 2-3 months, you see the first changes already. It started to having like some decorations here and there. People leave something. And so on and so on and so on. So it's really good to have some moving elements and add on as you go, or take some out if you don't need them. So just make sure you have something in your storage. What else is really good? It's also very important to have a consistent branding. So it means from day one to for as long as you go, just to think one direction. Of course, I don't mean the band now, I mean your look. So if you take one route, stay on it, because consistent branding, it's what falls into the memory of your customers, right? So let's say if you choose the color red for your food truck, stick with it, because later on when you'll be expanding and you'll be growing, when you start doing merchandise and fanware, because that's natural progress, it will all project the same image. All right, I see there are questions already coming in, so let's switch to Q&A mode. First, I'm going to answer some questions I got on my email from Jenny B. Painting or wrapping? There's no simple answer to that. There's advantages and disadvantages of each and one of them. First of all, painting. If it's a very simple design, let's stick to the example of being just red, then you just give it to a paint shop and they paint it just plain red, and they put a special coating on it, and what you can do, you just spray paint a logo on it, very simple, let's say black, and it will look great and it will be quite cost effective. However, if you plan a more intricate design, painting could be quite expensive, and then again painting is not as durable as a foil wrap. So basically you have to think of it. Your food truck is going to travel a lot. You're going to be moving from place to place. There's going to be thousands of people touching it and being close to it, and you're going to open and close it all the time. So paint, you can scratch paint, and after a while it will not look good, and when it's painted you cannot just simply take a brush and coat it or whatever. So that's kind of difficult. Also, adding elements is quite difficult. Once it's painted, it's painted. Wrapping, however, it's quite cost effective. Also, it gives another protective layer because it protects your normal stock paint. And then again, if you're working on a budget, and probably everyone is, excuse me, then you can start small and you can add on as you go. And then again, once something falls off or you can see the sticker is not sticking properly, you can just take the foil down and put another one on, and it's not as expensive. So that's really cool. So the choice is yours. It's about advantages and disadvantages. Designer Joe. What is to be avoided when designing a logo? So let me just make it a little bit wider and spread it on branding as well. So first of all, do not make it, try not to be excessively creative. It needs simplicity, it needs a standard, it needs to be visible, it needs to be easy to remember. Of course, it needs to be creative, but too much is too much. I've seen food trucks where the owner has been really excessively creative, has put too much on the food truck, and from far away it just looked as if it was just stained or scratched all over, because you couldn't tell different elements apart. Once you came closer, you've seen that there's an intricate design, but you need to be visible from a very long distance sometimes. You need to be very distinctive from all your competition. So keep it easy, keep it simple. Overlooking the perspective also in preferences of your potential guests is to be avoided. I mean, you really need to think, who's your target group? Who are you aiming at? Who's your customers? And what do they want? So I still keep to the example of a food truck I've seen once. Namely, I've seen a food truck, really great design, great logo, but in the logo there was a sexy pin-up girl eating a hot dog in a very sensual way, and where the sauce was suggestively leaking out. Everything is great. It would be great for, well, biker meetings, rock festivals, open air festivals, anything like, you know, with youth connected, fantastic. But the food truck was standing next to a school. So probably great product, but they probably didn't benefit from the location because customers were just walking by, and no mother would just allow the kid to go in that food truck just because of the image. So you have to think who's your target group, and just make sure you do it with pinpoint accuracy. Imitation, what's to be avoided, and that's a serious issue. Do not try to imitate anyone. Try to be original and creative, although simple and easy. But generally, by imitating some of your competition first, you may get sued if it's too similar. Then again, you may advertise for your competition who doesn't need more advertising. And then again, you need to work for your market position and not someone else's. If you look like someone else, then, well, you're not being distinctive. No one can, you know, pick you out of the crowd. And there's a great chance they will just go for the other one, for the other guy. GSTQ is asking, that's from our live chat, what is the best color brand for food truck? Whereas there's no particular color that I can suggest. All I can tell you, it should be as visible as possible. I know in certain industries some colors are forbidden, like for example in insurance or real estate, the color red is a no-go because it just screams danger, danger. But in food truck industry, everything goes. It's a free form. It's an art form. You can do whatever you like. You can be really, really, really inventive, and you can, you can penetrate all the no-goes possible in all the other industries. It will still be allowed. So there's no particular color to avoid. What I would just do, just make it visible. Your food truck can even be grey. Just make sure it's really elegant grey and it just fits the surroundings, and whatever you know, if it's a food truck that is not traveling around, it is in locations where the grey is beautifully mounted in, let's say. All right. GSTQ again. Is there something forbidden in branding? Yes, there are actually a couple of things that you should avoid at all costs. Namely, you shouldn't be offensive. I know that even when you are only covering biker festivals where a lot is allowed, or actually not much is forbidden, still there nowadays are a lot of people who easily get offended. What you don't need for your small company, which is a food truck, to get sued for public offense or whatever. All right, so don't be insultive, don't be offensive. Just a little bit goes, but try to do not too much. Like always get some feedback from your friends and family, just to make sure that everyone's on the same page, and they will tell you, all right, that is cool, this is not. All right, so always get some feedback in this case. All right, Puffy. Color of the year 2019 is Pantone 161546 Living Coral. Is it okay for food truck? Yeah, absolutely it is. I have no idea what kind of color it is. Remember, I'm a typical male, so I only differentiate 3 colors. I won't name them, just to keep it as a surprise. But generally every color goes. Puffy. Oh, actually, hang on. Big GSTQ, big or small track, which is more interesting? This is actually quite an interesting question. Actually, it doesn't make much difference. If you have a really good plan for it, if you have really good menu, if you started promoting properly, it all depends on your budget. So you can always start small and you can grow, and you can always start big and reduce if necessary and grow even bigger if you have the chance. So sometimes, like I know it from my own experience, starting too small sometimes doesn't pay off. As in, you have to imagine yourself in a couple of years, and you have to imagine what you want to do and what you want to achieve. So starting too small may appear as a logical thing to do for the starters, but then again it may turn out after 2 years that you haven't earned enough to grow bigger, because you can only serve so much and you can only have one product, and you're just earning for yourself and let's say your chef next to you, or the driver, or whoever works with you, or for the guy, for the supplier, I don't know. But generally, try to get something in between. Leave yourself the room for growing. Don't go too small, unless it's a hobby of yours, unless you don't plan to do millions, unless you, I don't know, just, you know, my advice to you, don't go too small, and of course don't go too big, because if you go too big, if you overestimate your possibilities, then it may be really dangerous, because when gastronomic, so hospitality businesses are falling, they're falling very painfully. So if you go too big for starters and then it turns out you don't have the budget to support it, it may be really scary. BFJ, where do you get ideas for graphics? All right, so that's an interesting question. The internet, social media, they're booming with ideas and ready projects. Of course, as I said, do not imitate, do not copy anything, but you can get inspiration from these projects. First of all, you have to think of what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve, what's your own personality, what ticks your clock. Well, it's like you have to just imagine what you want to do, right? And if you don't have any ideas, I mean, like, you know, if you know exactly what you want to do, but you don't have to, you know, artistic touch, you can always use a company that actually does it professionally, and they will present you several projects that you can pick from, and they will actually provide professional services from starters to the finish, and give you proper realization, right? All right. GSTQ, black, white, solid or graded, halal info on front. All right, black and white, solid or graded, doesn't really matter. It's your choice. Do whatever you want. If it fits your idea, fantastic. Just make sure it really does produce a really solid image, and you know, it sends out a really good message. If it comes to halal info on front, if you do halal info on, you know, if you do halal food in your food truck, then, and these are the customers you are aiming for, absolutely yes, this is a good information, because Muslim guests, they will only pick they will only pick halal place. For all the others, it may also be important, because of the way the animals and the food is prepared. They may not wish to be fed with produce of that kind. So it's up to you, really. But I reckon if you have halal food, then it's quite obvious who you're aiming for, and it should be upfront, visible for your guests. But remember, halal food has really strict restrictions. So if it is halal, if you say it's halal, it needs to be a halal. Otherwise, you're in trouble. All right, BFJ, what truck do you recommend? If it comes to brands, any, really. If it comes to trucks, any brand is good. Well, all cars of this kind are made for one purpose: to work, to deliver, to go through a lot of miles. So it doesn't really matter. And if you ask me, going for the brand doesn't really pay off, because for the brand to pay off, it needs to carry a prestige. But remember, you are standing sideways to your guest. No one will see the star up front. You can drive a Porsche, no one will know. So any brand is good. And my advice to you is just like, if you pick, for instance, Renault and a Mercedes, I'm not, a disclaimer is both of them are great, but if you have two cars of the same age, the same mileage, and the same condition, then well, probably the Mercedes will be a little bit more expensive. They're both quite all right, but the slightly cheaper Renault will give you the possibility to buy another one when you expand much quicker than you can buy a Mercedes. So I'm just speculating now, but generally the brand of the car doesn't matter. I'll be talking about cars and the bases on the 28th of October. Specifically, I'll be covering the subject quite thoroughly. All right, so keep watching. Lola's Lollies. What do you think about vintage old school trucks? I'm thinking to buy and restore one. Worth it in your opinion? Well, I've seen some old school trucks, like old Chevy bases. They look absolutely fantastic, and I think it's worth every penny, because it's standing in contradiction with what I've just said. When you have the car like really unique, then it actually is a prestige thing, and it may actually get you some more customers. Even think of it. The other day I've seen a beautiful Chevy, I don't know what model it is, painted red, restored with chromes and everything. I wasn't even hungry, and I even didn't care what they served. I just went for it because the car looked great. So, absolutely, restoring a car, I think it's worth every penny, unless it's really, really badly damaged. All right, so you need to think of it like, how much do you actually need to invest? If you have to rebuild the car, then it's probably worth, restoring it and selling it rather than making a business on it, right? So it's all about the damage. GSTQ, for branding, could we use mock-ups? Can you specify what's mock-ups in this case? All right. Dumb and Dumber, thank you, love you too. GSTQ, whether halal does not deter other customers. Do you have any experience? Well, these days, I don't want to go too deep in that subject because it involves religion, but since we talk about branding, there's a huge and growing vegan and vegetarian trend. That's first thing. Second of all, even meat eaters, so carnivores, they want the meat, the animals that the meat is farmed from, to be treated properly. Some may think that halal butchering methods are not, or actually they are pretty cruel. They may or may not be. I'm not here to judge, but generally you may lose customers because people will think so. But generally, if it comes to halal food, like as I said, if you're making halal food, then it's obvious who you're aiming for. It's the Muslim community, and for all the others who don't care that it's butchered or prepared in a halal way. So it's better to put it on rather than not put it on, because when you don't put it on, you may lose all the Muslim community you are aiming for. So that's all the point I've talked about target group and your customers' preferences. GSTQ, mockups are prepared, ready templates to use with our brand. Yeah, absolutely. So if you have ready templates, why not use them? Make sure that the more mockups, as I understand it, you do, the better, because then you can expand and stick them on everywhere, whatever you need. So yeah, why not? Again, from GSTQ, so I should prepare for specific customers. Yeah, I've been saying this for all the previous episodes, and I will be talking about it many, many times more. If you want to succeed, you cannot just aim for everyone, right? You have to pick a specific target group. This target group can be quite spread, but again, you need to, well, basically you cannot make everyone happy. That's the thing. You have to aim for someone in order to get some customers. If you're trying to make everyone happy, no one will be happy, right? And the message you're sending will be quite bland, all right? So if think of it, McDonald's is not for everyone. If you're after fine dining, you're not getting these customers into McDonald's. They're sending a very clear message what they're doing. Same for food trucks. You know, if you're standing next to a company, you're aiming for office people. That's a specific group of people. If you go with the same food truck to a rock festival and you sell ciabattas, Kia pudding, and I don't know, gluten-free tacos or whatever, it's like it may not be the hit, because people there just want something really solid, meaty, hearty, whatever. So you always need to think about your target group and sort of estimate what they want and expect what they want, and just give them what they want, all right, just to succeed. All right, I see there's no more questions. So if anything else comes up to mind, just feel free to ask away on our email address. It all goes straight to my mailbox. I will try to answer all the emails individually, or if there's plenty, I will try to make another episode. Tomorrow there's another episode. There's a product comparison. Just if you're interested in buying a blender, that's something for you. And on Friday we have another guest who will be talking about free and paid ways to promote your food trucks. Also very interesting. So let's have a look. On my behalf, I thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for all the questions on the chat, and I hope I see you again.